Coming up on this episode, we're talking currencies. That's right, the bucks, the coins, the dollars, the euros, you name it, we're going to talk about it. Matt's been studying up, so we're going to have a lot of great facts coming up on this episode. This is Up for Debate, episode number 123, recorded September 27th, 2018. Currency exchanged. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the debate podcast where the two hosts agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by my co-host, our own Mr. Monopoly. It is Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Sean Jennings.
Rich Uncle Pennybags.
Indeed. Is it Uncle Pennybags? Was he an uncle?
I think so.
Is that uncle?
He's supposed to be your rich uncle, the player's uncle.
Okay. So does that mean all the players are related?
No,
Like,
I think it's
siblings,
here we go.
or cousins?
Rich Uncle Pennybag. He is depicted as a portly old man with a mustache who wears a morning suit with a bow tie and a top hat. The identity of the... let's see. Yeah, he doesn't really have a backstory, though it is modeled after J.P. Morgan.
Makes sense. He looked a lot like President Taft. Have you ever seen pictures of William Howard Taft,
One of our funniest looking presidents.
Yeah. He's the one that they always laugh about getting stuck in the bathtub. That poor guy. He was trapped in the bathtub. Probably traumatized him for life.
We need more.
They don't remember that he was governor of the Philippines. They remember that he was trapped in a bathtub because he was too fat.
I would say, would you say one of our maybe top 5 least remembered presidents?
No, not even close.
No, you don't think so? Matt, who are your top? I know we're totally off topic here. Okay. 5 least remembered presidents.
Okay, right off the bat, Chester A. Arthur's got to be number 1.
I'm with you. I agree.
We got Rutherford B. Hayes.
That's a great one.
Be right after him.
That's a great one. I will put in for Van Buren.
Okay. Well, Van Buren has the legacy of being the shortest president.
But that's, I think, what makes him unmemorable.
Like he also had wicked sideburns.
Yes, he did. That's true.
I would say Millard Fillmore, but I think he's the stereotypical not remembered president. Like so many people are like Millard Fillmore, like that he's become more remembered now because of his lack of memorability.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got Arthur, we've got Hayes.
Polk?
I was actually just thinking Polk, but maybe. I would say Tyler.
Oh, yeah, John Tyler. Holy crap.
How about Tyler?
Forgot about that.
Taylor.
Yeah, okay.
Zachary Taylor.
Yeah, that whole kind of run in like the mid 1800s was pretty forgettable because you had in succession Van Buren, Henry Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and then Lincoln. I think everyone before Lincoln, either you're a founding father or you're Lincoln, and if you're in between, no one gives a shit.
Well, do you know in between that was that's often remembered as the height of congressional power in this country. So it was when Congress was at maximum power. So of course the executive is at its most waning power, and that's why these presidents weren't widely remembered, is because the decision, the power, the decision making, the brunt of America's like tour de force was put into Congress, congressional decision making. You had a lot of strong arm people in Congress at that time, Henry Clay, John C. Breckinridge, to name a couple. Like they were like these congressional powerhouses and stuff. So
now, Matt, now I'm just really getting excited about presidents, and I swear we're going to get to currency. But you may know our current president has held no prior elected office prior to being president. That's true. Can you name any of the 5 other presidents who held no elected office prior to becoming president?
Oh, that's fun. Okay, we can play this game.
I could not do it, but I'm gonna hope that you can. I'm cheating.
How about we start with Washington?
That is true. That is true.
George Washington.
Yeah.
And And then we move on to maybe John Adams? No. I take that back.
And you should.
He had to, yeah, he was, yeah.
He was so when they say no, maybe I should be more specific. No prior elected office. John Adams was the vice president.
Oh, yeah, that's why, yeah.
And some of these, it's like Secretary of State. It's kind of,
yeah, I was thinking prior to, like, I don't even know. I guess that is true. That was an elective office back then, and still is, more or less. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Wow, this is hard.
well, I'll give you a hint. Okay, military experience has a lot to do with it. Think of presidents who came right from the military.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was going chronologically, but I was going to get to Eisenhower eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, Woodrow Wilson. Maybe he was like a college dean. But was he a senator or governor before that? Maybe governor.
He was governor
of
New Jersey. Yeah.
New Jersey. Yeah. Okay. 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 I think I may.
This is a hard one. This is a real hard one.
I may have to throw in the towel here.
I'll give you
it's hard.
Herbert Hoover, who came as the Secretary of Commerce, not really an elected position.
Not an elected. Okay.
You can judge that as you see fit. We also would have accepted Ulysses S. Grant, of course, coming commanding general of the U.S. Army.
General. Sure.
Yep. Zachary Taylor as well.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So, there you go. And I can keep going with president facts if we want to keep going.
Facts.
But
there are lots of them.
We might have to do a whole We could do a whole episode on U.S. presidents.
I bet we could do multiple episodes. We could do a whole season about that. We could all do a whole spinoff.
It would be a hoot. Could you imagine? Has anyone, you think, done that? A podcast where every episode is about a president and they do them in sequential order. So, like, the first episode is George Washington and the second is John Adams.
I would think so.
That seems like too good of an idea for us to have been the first to think of.
No, there's no way. There's no way we thought of that. That's definitely too smart for us.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Matt, we are here to talk about currencies. You picked the topic. Why?
Why? That's a good question. It's a very good question. I was thinking the usual tactics that we use when we choose episodes, or when we choose, when we go in to do research. It seems like you always pick the interesting, noteworthy, straightforward facts, and I always pick the quirky, like off the wall, like kind of wacky facts about the same topic. And I was just thinking, geez, if we did currency, I bet there's a lot of like weird, wacky currencies out there.
Can I tell the folks at home one of the rejected ideas for this week that is now the single greatest idea you've ever pitched?
You sure can.
Matt, you wanted to do a whole hour-long podcast episode on fences.
Fences, that's right.
Someday we may be desperate enough to do it.
Types of fences. Of course we would look up the most unique fences.
That still cracks me up.
The style, yeah.
That's like a dare. Like someone would dare us to do that. That's fantastic. Yeah. No, we're gonna hold off on fences. Go with a much easier currency. And Matt, I don't know where you want to begin with currency. Coming from the Middle English word courant, meaning in circulation, or so says Wikipedia.
Okay. I think we'll start here. All right. When you think of currency, Sean, you think of what?
When I think of currency...
What's the first thing that pops into your head?
When I think of currency, I think of I guess I don't really think of I don't think of currency very often, so that's not a good answer. But
Well, the first thing should be what? What should be the first physical thing that pops into your
coins.
brain?
I think of coins. Coins
Okay,
are currency.
coins. Coins are they? Would you say they're a currency that you commonly use? Do you commonly find yourself using coins?
I wish I did more. I wish I did more.
Why is
No,
that?
because I did some currency research before getting on the show today, and coins have been around a lot longer than paper money, and obviously credit cards as well. I mean, coins have been around for thousands of years, and I think there's just something really neat about a physical coin. Of course, coins are very different now than they used to be, but there is something interesting about that versus paper money, and especially digital money, that gives it that very very physical feel. You're actually putting value behind the object because it's made of something that's precious, theoretically.
That's true. And what you said was absolutely true. That coins definitely predate paper money by thousands of years, and that metal coins. It's believed that, I mean, if you look at early humans and what they used, the resources that they needed, metal was a very precious substance. It could be hammered down and melted to make tools and weapons. That's the primary reason that these coins started to gain traction, is that they could be smithed into things of quality, thus becoming precious and desirable. For coins, though, would you believe that on the Solomon Islands, there was the ancient people there used a currency that was a coin technically, but Sean, these coins were approximately 12 feet in diameter.
What?
And could weigh up to 8 tons.
That is downright irresponsible.
I'm talking, of course, about the rye stones, R-A-I,
yes.
Rye stones, discs made entirely out of limestone.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And if I understand it correctly, Matt, what indicated the value of the stone was how big it was. The bigger
right.
the bigger the stone, the more valuable it was, which is crazy. It was more valuable because it was more difficult to move. There is something kind of really neat about that.
Yeah, I wonder if if you really kind of apply anthropology to this, you think about, did the people there view the size as kind of a test of strength? Like they were able to harvest this much stone and fashion it and design it. Did it symbolize their power or virility in some way? They are still used today. They were found on They're found on the Micronesian island of Yap, Y-A-P, and on the island of Yap, they're still used today in important social transactions, such as during marriages, inheritance of property, political deals, sign of an intertribal alliance, ransom, or rarely exchanged for food. The physical location of the stone is often not significant. So where it's located or where it's placed, not so much. The rye stone it was considered a national symbol and are even depicted on license plates in the area, also known as Yap stones.
That is, I'm going to try and be respectful here. That's very dumb.
To have the giant stone as a currency?
Yeah, that seems very
giant
inconvenient.
Stone disc.
That seems like you've set up a system that is inherently inconvenient. Like, I feel like there are a lot of other ways you can do it. But,
yeah, I mean, this is ancient. I think this just is something that has been completely passed down. Here's interesting. As long as the transaction is recorded, and back, the monetary system relies entirely on an oral history of ownership. As long as it's recorded that the stone has passed into another ownership, no physical movement of the stone is required, and thus the physical location of the stone does not matter. So, for example, if a stone is located closer to one village than another village, then or one residence as opposed to another residence, as long as it is orally recorded that the stone belongs to someone else and it is therefore known amongst the Yapese people, it does not need to be moved. I find that very fascinating.
That's crazy, though, because that's like owning a building or a lake or something. It's just like
Sure.
an object. It's not really currency. But it is currency. That's what's currency can be anything as long as
Well,
it's.
look, I mean, it's the same thing as liquidity and like liquid assets in our what is money really?
Well, according to Wikipedia, no, I'm not going to do that. But no, really, theoretically, what takes something from being money to making it a currency is controlled by a central body or government. And so I'm not quite sure how the Yap people, the island of Yap, the Yapesians, maybe. Not sure how they say that. I don't know if it is controlled by a central group, truly making it currency.
Oh, so it looks like modern current. It says modern currency has replaced the stones as everyday currency.
Yeah, aren't they a Euro state?
The Micronesia?
Yeah, the Micronesian island of Yap, right? I'm pretty sure that's a Euro state.
They fall in the Eurozone?
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But I had you for a minute.
Okay,
There.
I hope so. You never know. With a previous, could have been a previous
love that
colony.
euro.
I don't know.
I'm sure it was a colony
power.
of somebody at some point.
It was, and it looks like, in a surprise turn of events, it was a colony of the United States.
What a shock.
Yes. And they did not gain full independence until 1986.
Wow.
The currency they use today is the U.S. dollar.
Yay!
So, the U.S. dollar.
USA.
But they still are said to exchange these rye stones in traditional ceremony.
That's awesome.
So
that's cool. I think it's
there you
neat that
have
they
it.
keep it around.
Yeah.
Like in the
it's
modern
on the
world,
license
it's
plate.
totally impractical. Makes no sense. But just
It's
keep
from a
doing it.
cultural standpoint. Like we use these stones and we're still using them.
Damn
kind
straight.
of, sort of.
For ransom.
Yeah, for battle ransom.
For battle. You think they have a lot of battle ransoms these days?
Maybe. I don't know. I have never been to Micronesia.
Micronesia. Better than Macronesia.
Yeah, that Macronesia.
Now, Matt, are you familiar with... You've heard of coin. We were talking about coins, right? You know what a coin is.
Yep.
Now, it may sound like something you'd win on a game show, but it's not. Are you familiar with the $1 million coin?
I am not, but I can hash a guess at what it might be.
It's pretty
Is it a
straightforward.
coin worth $1 million?
If you can believe it is, but it's better than that. Because in 2007, the Royal Canadian Mint decided to produce, in partnership with the Guinness World Records people, the world's first $1 million coin, Matt. It weighs 100 kilograms. And it's... the website doesn't say exactly how wide. It's probably about 4 feet wide. I mean, it's huge. It's like the size of a car tire. This coin, $1 million coin, and it is made of 99999 pure gold bullion, which means 99.999% pure. It's just a giant chunk of gold. They made one as sort of a showpiece. Several interested buyers came forward. They decided they were going to make them for sale. They've sold 5 of them. They weigh, I have no idea, what is 3,215 troy ounces?
Troy, what is it? I don't know.
A troy ounce is a measurement, but I will make
That
it easy
caught
on
me
you.
off guard. I've
Matt,
never heard of a troy ounce.
220 pounds this thing weighs. It's the world's largest gold coin. Yeah.
And where is it? Where is it located?
I'm assuming the owners get them. They're manufactured at the Mint's Ottawa facility. The reverse side features an elegant hand-polished maple leaf design, and the other, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Of course.
So, Matt, if you've got $1 million, you can own one. Although I would assume with the value of gold, I wonder what 100 kilograms of gold is worth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wouldn't that fluctuate?
Yeah, because it is super pure gold.
Yeah,
Um,
gold,
I'm definitely gonna.
pure gold.
Oh, look, there's a phone number you can call. This company will sell it to you. I'll see if gold price per kilo. What's 100? Oh, this is complicated. 1 troy ounce. Well, there you go. 1 kilo. No, well, that's not helpful. Anyway, I'll have to get back to you. But a kilogram of gold is worth $38,000. Multiply that times 100. That's $3.8 million. That's crazy. Maybe that is a really good investment. Is this why rich people keep getting richer? Because they buy $1 million coins and then they're worth $3.8 million?
Yeah, I think we've cracked the code.
God damn.
I think this is how it happens. It just kind of circulates.
That sucks. Oh, listen to this. This is semi-unrelated, but Google told me this. Apparently, one of these coins was in a museum in Germany. It's worth, this article says 4.2 million whenever this was published. And suspected robbers broke into the museum with a ladder and used a wheelbarrow to steal the 3-foot wide coin. They stole it with a wheelbarrow.
What?
According to this article from July 2017, the coin still has not been found. Investigators say they believe it may have been melted down and sold. They are said to be at a loss as to how the thieves broke bulletproof glass inside the building and evaded burglar alarms.
That's crazy.
Yep. So one of 5 in the world was stolen with a wheelbarrow.
Just heisted like a wow. And how did nobody catch them?
It's huge. It's a 220-pound, 3-foot size gold coin.
Right.
Of
and
all
this
the
guy
things to
just
steal.
stealing it down the street. What?
And where do you bring it to melt it down? Be like, like cash for gold or something, and you're like, oh, what can I get for this?
Oh yeah, my uncle gave this to me. It was a gift.
That's right. I found it on the street.
I found it. Yeah.
It was a lucky coin.
Someone must have dropped it. Clumsy them.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, I our next currency here is not quite as heavy, although it might be. It actually might rival your giant gold coin, but it's certainly not made of gold. It's made of a very different substance, Sean. It's I'll just come out and say it. It's a cheese. It's a cheese.
Cheese?
Yes, cheese. Parmesan cheese, to be specific.
That is very specific.
Now, why am I talking about Parmesan cheese on a currency podcast?
You've completely lost me.
Well, I mean, I have completely lost my mind, but completely unrelated, as early as the year 1200, apparently, this tasty cheese made from skim milk was used as a currency in northern Italy.
Interesting.
So Parmesan cheese first became popular as a contemporary currency. It looks like in the mid 18th century, or around the mid 18th century. It was, I think it was used, from the looks of it, as kind of like a way to balance currency. Like if people didn't have enough money, they could easily pay in Parmesan cheese, and that would be perfectly acceptable, I guess. I mean, I guess it is pretty versatile and very valuable as a cheese.
Yeah, but I mean, you would have to be, no offense to these fine folks, but you'd kind of have to be absolutely insane to pick an item for your currency that eventually goes bad, that spoils.
Well, I think isn't that the beauty of cheese though? Is even when it goes bad, it still tastes
Is that
good.
really what you want to be trading people? Old cheese? Like what that's like having apples as your currency, and it's like, well, no, that's bizarre. That's such an odd item. I mean, maybe they just had too much of it. I don't know.
Um, yeah, I think evidently it goes back to 1200, not 1700, 1200. Wheels of Parmesan cheese were used as medium of exchange for other goods, even as recently as the year 2009, Sean.
Well, the economy was tough around that time. They might not have had a lot of money.
Yeah, even as recently as 2009, some banks in the region of northern Italy used Parmesan wheels as collateral for farmers' loans. So it's not like they were like a traveler in the 13th century would go to Italy and see everybody. Oh wait, you have to exchange your money in for Parmesan cheese, like the money exchanger.
That's awesome.
I think it looks like they just used it to leverage already existing and used currency.
But like, what does the bank do with the cheese? Is there a cheese vault they keep the cheese in?
Yes, I wonder.
And how do you track the cheese? And which cheese belongs to which persons? Is it kind of like a pawn shop?
Maybe they would print some kind of ID on the cover of the cheese,
Like
which, by the
tag
way,
your cheese?
I didn't know you can actually eat that cover. Like that whole
Are you
cover
sure?
is edible. Says it right here. It says it.
With
It
all
says that you can actually, you can grate, after you grate or shave the cheese, slivers and chunks of the hardest part of the crust can be used to simmer soup.
well, it
They
doesn't
can
mean
also
you
be
eat
roasted
it.
and eaten as a snack.
Okay. I'm worried
I
about
don't
you,
know if
Matt. Please don't
if I would
try.
go for that. Yeah, but um, yeah, I wonder if they I mean, they come in these giant wheels that look like big coins, right?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. Again, I just circle back to it's like a perishable dairy item, which is, I mean, I guess it's more stable than milk or cottage cheese, but still.
What is what's the rate of expiration on these
No,
Parmesan cheeses? I think they last a really long time, I would say.
well, I was going to ask you, Matt. Let's say you were starting a society, okay? But one of your rules was that your currency had to be a food item, an edible food item. What do you think would make the best food item currency?
If I had to pick a food item to use as currency, I'd probably
any
use
food item.
beer. I would say beer.
That's not bad.
I would say because beer can last an extremely long time.
I'd probably skew a little. I think wine lasts longer.
You know what? Also, though, the fact that it's liquid means that it can evaporate.
True. You want something a little more solid.
Also, you'd have to worry about breaking the bottle, and measuring liquid is hard. Measuring liquid is really difficult,
especially in olden times.
Yeah, you'd have to include like liquid volume and stuff. Maybe soy, like not soy. What is like bean curds where you cut them into squares and really like make them literal blocks of currency, like tofu. I'm saying.
I mean, I think they probably already did it right. I think spices is probably which has been used as currency all over the world, and that's probably why, because it doesn't really go bad.
They're also extremely valuable to trade.
Yeah, and they're a limited item. Yeah,
they grow in a very specific climate.
Yeah, that's probably a really good idea.
Salt,
coconuts, maybe.
Salt was a very common thing to be traded. Why coconuts?
Well, do coconuts? How long does it take for a coconut to go bad?
You know what?
And they're hard. You can't really break them. Not accidentally anyway. You can put them in the mail and they'll mail them. Fun coconut fact.
Yeah. It looks like coconuts do go bad. When they go bad, they become brittle and yellowish in color.
I think human beings go the same way.
Yeah. They go the way of the coconut. Coconuts are interesting. Very bizarre fruit. Have you ever had coconut water?
I've tried it, did not care for it.
No, I don't either.
It's
Coconut
unappealing.
milk,
Yeah, no, that.
really never not really a fan.
But I like
Are
coconut
coconut
flavors.
are those the same thing? Coconut water and coconut milk?
I don't think so. I could speculate what the difference is, but I don't know the actual answer. Because I think coconut water. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think they're the same thing. If you find out, let me know. No, I like coconut flavored things, but I've never like actually dealt with like a real deal coconut.
I've never eaten a coconut. Yeah, so the difference, I have had coconut water, but I don't think I've ever had like pure coconut milk. I've had coconut milk in things. And you're right, they are different. The coconut water is the actual water in the center of the coconut,
Yeah.
like just the pure water. Coconut milk is made when you blend that white part, the flesh they call it of the coconut. When you blend that with the water, it makes what's called coconut milk.
It's kind of like how
So
it's kind of like you ask like how do you make almond milk or oat milk? I know is big now. It's kind of the same way, I suppose.
yes, what is big now? Oat milk.
Oat milk, which I
Hmm.
guess is better for you than almond or soy milk, is what I
Oat
hear.
milk.
Gluten free, dairy free, lactose free, but uh, it's got less saturated fat,
Okay.
which I guess is a problem in those other ones. Um, and it's got extra fiber, so I'm told it's good for you, but it's hard to find.
That is
New.
interesting.
Yeah,
Oat milk.
oat milk.
So that's probably going to be the next big thing. I
That's what
have
they're
had
saying.
almond milk.
That's what they're saying. I don't think I've ever
Almond
had
milk was
almond milk.
was actually pretty good. Not my favorite thing. I wouldn't drink it by the carton, but really also not that bad. And considering that it is better for you than regular milk,
True.
it's not a bad substitute.
Anyway, we were talking about currencies,
Yes.
not milk.
Yes. We're.
Now, Matt, this is a little different, but obviously, in the United States, we have the dollar, the U.S. dollar. We've got all sorts
Okay.
of coins. We've got different amounts of dollars here in the U.S. But I bet you know that there are a lot of slang terms for U.S. money.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm talking bucks, dough, bread,
Dinero.
moolah, cheddar, paper, stash, loot, smackers, simoleons, tamale, scratch, cheese, lettuce,
Tomato, onion,
cabbage,
pickles on a sesame seed bun.
a bean or a bone, 20 bones. Matt?
Yeah.
A dollar bill, sometimes a single or a buck, rarely an ace. A $2 bill, a deuce. $5 bill, a fiver, 5-spot. $10 bill, a sawbuck, a Hamilton. $20 bill, a dub.
Sawbuck?
A sawbuck.
That I've never heard.
A sawbuck is also a slang term for the U.S. $10 bill, derived from the similarity between the shape of a sawbuck device and the Roman numeral X or 10, which formerly appeared on $10 bills. A double sawbuck is a $20 bill.
All right.
$100 bill, a C
I
note.
kind of like that.
Benjamin, a rack. 100,000 U.S. dollars is a brick.
A brick.
$1 million is a rock. $100 a yard. The list, I can keep going. The penny comes from the name of the British penny, but older U.S. pennies, sometimes called coppers, because they were mainly made of coppers. And pennies dated 1909 to 1958 had wheat stalks on the back, or sometimes called Wheaties or wheatbacks.
I remember I've seen those pennies. I've seen those wheat stalk pennies.
I don't remember if we talked about this on our collections episode, which was a great one. Have you ever thought about collecting coins?
I have. I started a very minuscule coin collection in my childhood. I would just keep coins that looked interesting, like not really ones that were too much of value.
Sure.
Like just ones that had gotten, like really old looking or kind of like scruffy looking. Like if the color had dyed or something like that, had been tarnished, and I thought it looked interesting. I had some foreign currency too, a little bit. The occasional Canadian penny that would show up.
Sure. A
The
loony, a toonie,
occasional, like, yeah, I had a couple of British coins.
any lira, any.
I think I may have had one lira, like a lira. Just, yeah, I still have them somewhere. They're around here somewhere. I think they're in my junk drawer. But I thought that of all the kind of collecting things, the coin collection seems like the way to go.
The problem I have with things like coins and stamps, I think, is another good example. Is I need a collection where I can easily tell what is valuable and not valuable. Like collecting cars, for example. I'd be like, that's a classic car, and that's a 1989 Saturn. Like, I know one of those is valuable and one of them isn't. You can put two nearly identical pennies in front of me. One could be worth $1 million and one could be worth nothing.
Well, that's one of the neat things about being a collector of coins is that you would be one of the few people that would be able to tell.
But I do not
You
have
would
the
be able
patience
to
for
tell,
that.
and you would tell other people, you've got a really valuable coin on your hands.
Or you could really be like, every store you go in, be like, oh, you just look at every piece of change. Oh, worthless, and you flip it back in the cashier's face.
Yeah. Or let's be real here. I guess the coolest thing to collect would be Pogs. I wish Pogs would come back.
Yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up.
I enjoy the hell out of Pogs. I don't know where my Pog collection is at, but that was a fad that died out way too soon.
I think it died out at exactly the right time.
I mean, the game was a little bit rough, but did you ever play the Pog game?
I did very brief. I got into Pog. See, so where I lived in the middle of nowhere, we got all the fads at the end. And so Pogs were around for about 5 minutes, and then Pokemon came right in and just gave it the 1-2 and kicked it out.
Pokemon, I can't remember if it was Pokemon or was that Gigapets? Was it Gigapets?
Well, Gigapets and Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the kind of the intermediary. That was the one that I think came right before Pokemon. And then Pokemon just knocked everything out of the box.
Oh, God, yeah.
What a massive success Pokemon was. Really, when you think about it, they're just genius marketing.
That's it.
And then they released the card game, they released the video game, they released the children's show, and the children's show basically just reinforced kids to go out and buy more merchandise and own the video game. And then the video game itself, they sold two separate cartridges that you couldn't complete your collection of Pokemon unless you owned both cartridges or had a friend that also had, and you could trade back and forth. Genius, just completely genius.
Although I will say, because you're absolutely right, and I agree, and I give him a lot of credit, but I'm going to give a smidge more credit to the Digimon people, because they were smart enough not to invent a fad, but to steal a fad and still get rich doing it.
Yeah, they got rich.
Credit where credit's due.
They definitely didn't get Pokemon rich, and didn't even come close to Pokemon rich. I mean, I think they did what they had to do. They rode on Pokemon's coattails, and they were able to pull themselves up and definitely make some money off of it. But you can't say that fad was of the equal veracity of the veracity of the Pokemon fad.
Definitely. Do you know Digimon started as Gigapets?
What?
That's where the characters came from.
They came from Gigapets?
Yeah, that's what Wikipedia said. I was just trying to see how much the Digimon, how much it's worth. Because I'm curious to how that compares to Pokemon. I mean, obviously it's not worth as much, but still, hey, look, I'll take a fraction of a ripoff. That's still probably pretty good money. But anyhow, we digress.
Yeah, you're right. It was influenced by the style of contemporary Tamagotchi or Nano Gigapet toys.
Yeah, Digimon hatch from types of eggs called Digi-eggs. God, what a awesome knockoff.
I really didn't. Yeah, I didn't know there was any connection or relation whatsoever. But I think they had an interesting premise. I think just where they went wrong is that the Digimon never battled each other. The
Yeah, it was more
Pokemon did.
more about the
You know,
collecting.
if there's one thing that kids love, it's these like staged gladiator fights between their beloved pets.
These terrifying monster creatures that roam the earth.
Yeah.
That are aliens, right? Did they ever figure out what Pokemon were? They're aliens, right?
Oh, we're gonna open that can of worms.
Is that not an established thing?
So in one, I remember specific, and I'm definitely not an expert on this, but I remember there being one episode of the show where they visit Professor Bill.
Yeah.
He was a character, I think, and Bill. He explains to Ash and the team the origin of the Pokemon. They all came here in a spaceship from outer space and inhabit like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if it was before humans came around or maybe when humans were like in their primitive stages and they came on a spaceship here, essentially jettisoned from a foreign planet. And they basically just developed and evolved here on Earth alongside humans. Now, what that doesn't really explain, though, is how they keep discovering new Pokemon. Like, how is it that, like, oh, wait, we just discovered this new batch of, like, 150 billion more Pokemon just came out? Like, they would have to keep coming from other planets, right?
Right.
And keep, like, landing here. And I don't know why they just don't do that. Like, oh, look, a bunch of Pokemon just showed up in another spaceship. And now they're on Earth, and let's catch them and battle them to the death.
I mean, Matt, in all seriousness, if you were just hanging out one day and a spaceship landed in front of you, and out came a bunch of, like, weird-looking, like, squirrels and turtles and shit, but they all had these crazy powers and just talked gibberish, like, what would you do?
I think my first instinct would be, let's trap them in these little magnetic balls.
And then battle them against
and then
each other.
Use them to battle each other.
What a twisted, like, evil, like what a great example. Like, mankind is evil. Like, we capture these beautiful creatures and aliens from another world, and we get them to fight each other.
And we can't just be content to let them, exist and admire their beauty. No, we got to make them fight against each other.
So much so, there's a whole industry.
Yeah. I mean, they can shoot fire and shit. Like, I mean,
well, they got to be dangerous.
You're just gonna let them just do whatever they want? They're dangerous. Exactly. I can only think of the implications of living in a world alongside Pokemon. Like, they're incredibly destructive.
We should definitely at some point on the show do a ranking of worst fictional worlds to live in.
Yes,
because
Pokemon would be up there.
I think it would be.
Also, I mean, there's that age-old conundrum of what people in the Pokemon universe eat.
Yes, that is a good question.
There have been several occasions on the show where they've talked about real-world animals, but you never see any other animals besides Pokemon.
Yeah, you never see like a dog or something.
No, you don't. If there was a dog, it would be a Pokemon.
Yeah,
it would be a Pokemon dog. It wouldn't just be a normal dog.
So did the alien Pokemons kill all the other animals?
And replace them. I mean, I'm assuming so. They're all evolutionarily superior to anything we have on Earth. I mean, just look at them side by side.
But then you think they would have destroyed mankind by now. I mean, how does mankind?
How
did mankind tame Pokemon?
That's what the job of the trainers, I guess, is to just keep capturing them and
they domesticated them over thousands of years.
More or less, I think so.
Oh my god.
Or maybe they all just are extremely docile and peace-loving for some reason.
I just imagine that there is a Pokemon fan out there listening to the show who's screaming into their phone, "You morons, that's not how it works. You don't know anything." We would love
to hear from you.
Yeah, honestly, please come on and explain how Pokemon work, because I am baffled.
Yeah. Really is baffling.
It is. And we've gotten off topic yet again, but that's okay.
Indeed. Indeed, but it is something that I think people could write diatribes on that kind of a subject. But um,
I'll give you one more thing, Matt, before we
sure.
turn it back over to you. Do you know where the dollar symbol, the dollar sign, comes from? The
I
S with
think
the line through it?
there are some conflicting theories about this. Give me one moment, and I will think upon them.
Okay, I'll just sit here in silence while you're doing that.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
whew, you've
well, as I was
contemplated
saying
it.
before, yes, I've contemplated this, and I think that I heard one theory that in the colonies, the U.S. colonies, they used to think they would trade in Spanish bullion,
Mm-hmm.
like gold and silver, right? Or gold
Yep.
mostly. And the S is supposed to be for Spanish, or maybe it was. That's one theory? Is that the S comes from like the Spanish currency? Um, then there's something about like SI, and then like they somehow got like blended together, but I'm not remembering that for some reason.
Yeah, so you're pretty close. Wikipedia says
Hmm.
that back in the mid to late 1700s, you were right. They were using the Spanish American peso, also known as the Spanish dollar, provided the model for currency that the United States later adopted. And the way it would be written in script was the letter P with a superscript, kind of like a power of whatever S, a small S above it. And over time, the P and the S got merged. The S was written over the P, developing
Oh, okay, that yeah,
into the sign.
like a sure. Okay, for peso, Spanish peso.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's what it was. Yep. The S and the P. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's also a less plausible hypothesis that this is the Greek character psi,
Mm.
um, corrupted over the years. Although I don't know why that would be
No,
on.
that's a little wacky.
Yeah. Hmm. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a neat little picture of the evolution of the dollar sign.
Wikipedia, man, they got it all.
Hmm. Hmm.
They got it going on. All right, Matt, you got any other currency thoughts?
All right. I do have this one. You may have you may have known that one of the largest in terms of use this time, not like the rye stone, the largest in terms of commercialized currencies in the history of the world was an element, actually, or not an
What?
element, a compound. It was a compound. We know it today as sodium chloride. The ancient peoples called it salt, as in it
Salt.
was worth its weight in salt.
Now, Matt, I've heard of salt you put on your French fries, but you're saying salt as money?
Indeed, I know it's a crazy idea, but as early as the 6th century, merchants in northern Africa routinely traded salt and gold at the same value per ounce. Gold and salt were considered of equal value. Even further back than that, we go all the way back to 2700 BC in China is when the first written record of salt coming into trade. As a matter of fact, the Chinese symbol for salt and the Chinese symbol for unit for currency are very closely related and have similar elements contained. Um, Salt was valued for a number of things, including food preservation, uh, and trade. Also, the fact that it was at the time it could only be mined in very limited locations throughout the world made it even more valuable.
Well, it was basically like gold. You had to mine them both, so I can imagine that's why
Sure.
they were worth about the same.
Hmm. Um, Ancient Rome in Roman times, ancient Roman times, they used to pay their soldiers in salt. It's actually where we get the word salary from.
Oh,
Salary, it was the soldiers' payment was known as the solarium argentum, which is now where we get the term salary, shortened to salary. If the soldier was not worth his salt, a phrase that still exists today, the soldier's salary would be cut.
nice. I genuinely did not know that.
So that's where that's where we get all the salt terms from. So
I like it.
so there you go. Salt being salty is not just a meme. If you were salty in the ancient Roman world, you'd be rich.
Oh, you'd be a
There you
wealthy
go.
man.
Yeah,
You'd be worth your weight in salt.
indeed. Can you think of any other idioms relating to salt?
Aren't you? Well, it's not really. It's more of a superstition where you throw salt over the shoulder. Idioms involving salt. That's a good question.
Like being not worth your salt, or
I'm just gonna do what normal people do and Google it. Oh, you take something with a grain of salt.
yes, that's right. Okay,
That's a
I
good
think
one.
that relates to the medicine, right? I think was that might have been one we addressed.
I
In
think
our
it
idioms
was.
Yeah, like you take salt take a grain of salt
Oh.
with your medicine to make it go down better or something like that.
How about rubbing salt into someone's wounds? Rub salt into the
Yes.
wound. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Don't
not
salt
not
the baby with the salt water. No,
that's
a
definitely
different idiom.
not,
Yeah.
no. Did we say not worth their salt? I think we said that one.
Yes, not being worth your salt. That comes from the salt trade. There's actually a very fascinating book.
I'm sure it would not surprise me that somewhere I guarantee there's a book called Salt. The
There
subtitle
is.
is A History of Salt.
No, it's there. There is a book called Salt, and its subtitle is A World History. Salt, A World History.
Yep.
It's by Mark Kurlansky.
And it's very boring, I'm
And
sure.
I've heard very good things about it. I have not read it yet in its entirety, but I have heard very good things about it. It's actually got a pretty neat cover.
Can you
The
lick it?
cover is like a, yes, you can. It tastes like paper. Spoiler alert.
Oh, I
but
see. That's
not
misleading.
like salt.
Oh.
It's very interesting. I want to read it. It's on my list.
Well, one of the things I will say as we kind of move to wrap up our discussion on currency, there is a great book. It was recommended by mine and your friend Dan Miller, who usually picks great books. I started it, found it too boring to finish, but other people might like it. It's called Debt, is the name of the book, and it's essentially a history of debt throughout the world, and it covers a lot of currency. It covers a lot of what we're talking about, the concept of debt, what debt has meant since the dawn of mankind to today. It's a really interesting read if you're looking for something on currency and money and sort of how it's changed over time. I do recommend it.
Okay. What's it called? Debt, you said?
Yeah, it's Debt. I think there's a subtitle. It's Debt, the First 5,000 Years by David Graeber. And it's a thick book. It's a little more textbooky than I normally read, so it wasn't for me, but it's very in depth. And if you're genuinely interested in the topic, I think you'll really enjoy it. I like books that are written with a lot more kind of anecdotes and a lot more kind of story to it. And this one was really more like factual. So, but a good book. You can check that out. If Dan says it's good, you got to believe him.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely be down to read that.
Now, Matt, we're just about out of time here. Any last thoughts on currency?
Well, in my research, I got most of my information from the Money Project.
Okay.
So, what is the Money Project? The Money Project is basically it's a project that aims to use intuitive visualizations to explore ideas about the very concept of money itself. So their goal is to create, as much information and visual graphics about money, currency, finance, investment, accumulation of wealth, things like that. And what I found really interesting is the commentary they have on their site about about what we as humans put value on, how we place value on material objects,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what makes a currency successful. For example, the rye stones, they were highly unsuccessful because of their lack of practical use. These giant stone, 8-ton bricks, basically, wheels. Um, Other cultures, we didn't have time to get to it, but other cultures would use weapons as money. Like in China, they use this concept of knife money that the Zhou dynasty used to, the Zhou dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
they would basically have these like sharp knives and arrowheads, and they would carve symbols of animals in there, and that would denote their value. Like a fish might be worth more than a sheep or something like that. Um, that eventually gave way to traditional circular coins. Really, it is interesting. What gives currency a staying power? Its staying power. What like things like furs? They have a practical use.
Yep.
They can be traded and exchanged. They can be made into other things. Very similar, like animal pelts are very similar in that way to metal coins. They can be turned into things for practical use. But something like a rye stone, maybe not.
Well, and as we move towards digital currency, it's a whole nother debate we'll have.
Yeah. It's highly ironic that now I think our currency is at the most worthless in terms of being converted into practical use. I mean,
Sure.
most of our currency now is invisible.
You
It's
could.
not even existent.
That's true. I mean, paper money you can burn for warmth, but that's pretty much it. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
I mean, we could also laugh about the rye stones and how oral tradition dictates their ownership, but how is that any different from what we do? We use plastic cards that we say have this amount. We all mutually agree as a society has this amount of money on it,
Yeah.
or these numbers in a machine. That's like that is our currency.
I mean, Matt, all it would take is the absolutely flawless plan at the end of Fight Club where you just blow up all the banks and the debt goes away. Because that's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yep.
That's how it works.
Yep.
What a prescient movie that was.
Oh, the 90s.
Thoughtful.
God, I miss those movies. Matt, what a treat of an episode. I hope everyone out there learned a little something about currency. I know I did. And another one in the books for you and I. Before we go, Matt, I do want to mention to people some exciting stuff we've got going on. You, sure. The Coffee and Beer family as a whole. Matt, we just published a new episode of Game Nights, playing Dungeons and Dragons over at GameNights.tv. Subscribe to that show anywhere you get your podcast. Just search Game Nights, a little green icon. And Matt, we're having a blast out there. On this most recent episode, we have to steal a ship and we got to find a new crew member, and naturally it goes hilariously. So
that's right.
I think we're on a big roll.
Yeah, I heard the excitement is supposed to ramp up pretty soon. Excited for that, and we'll see where it goes. I'm definitely looking forward to finding out more of this world that Colby has created and having more adventures. So
he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job, and we've got great things ahead. We've already pre-recorded. Matt and I know what's going to come that's not public yet, and it's really great stuff. So you're not going to want to miss it. GameNights.tv or subscribe anywhere you do podcasts. I'll also quickly mention Don't Panic as well. Colby, Dan, and I doing tech news every week over at don'tpanic.io, also available wherever podcasts are. This show is up for debate.tv. You can go to our website, get all of our past episodes. The audio and the video are there. Get caught up. I always like to mention when we do these, when we have old episodes, like, oh, we did an episode on collecting. Oh, we did an episode. Go check out the archive. There's a lot of good stuff there. But to get new episodes, you subscribe anywhere you get podcasts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. We're pretty much everywhere, or the video version on YouTube, of course. And you can also follow us at Up for Debate TV on Twitter, and upfordebatetv@gmail.com is the email address to get a hold of us and give us your feedback. I do want to give a very short tease. In about 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be wrapping up the summer movie draft and starting up the winter movie draft. We're coming back with teams. We've got a great lineup. You're not going to want to miss it. We're still a few weeks away, but this is my early tease. I actually have already ordered the trophy for the summer winner. So, and spoiler alert, it was the biggest one I could buy. So you're not going to want to miss that. So go to upfordebate.tv. All the details are there to check out. We will be back next week with another great episode of this show. We appreciate you being here with us. On behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. Hope you had as much fun as we did. We'll see you next time for more great debate here on Up for Debate.